The concept of the strategy model comes from the seminal work we did with Drs. Kaplan and Norton in the late 80s that founded the concept of the balanced scorecard. When we first wrote about the balanced scorecard, we identified the shortcomings of measuring organizations only through a financial view. A simple example would be for this training session. If the CMA charged you more for this session, would you learn more? Probably not. Dollar metrics are a bad proxy for many value-creating activities in organizations. Accounting technique, as you know, was built around the industrial era and agricultural transactions where I'm converting tangible assets into tangible assets. They don't work well when I'm converting intangible assets, things like human capital, customer capital, and structural capital. Those elements behave completely differently than tangible assets. The more you use your car, a tangible asset, the less it's worth. The more you use your brain, the more it's worth. And so on. All tangible assets depreciate with use, as an example. All intangibles increase value with use. And there's many other attributes that make them different. So our research in the late 80s identified not only the financial perspective for measuring companies, but we also needed to take a look at our customers. What were they interested in and how well were we meeting those needs? Internal, what are internal processes and how well are they performing? And finally, learning and growth. Now, learning and growth came from the work that we did along with Peter Senge, who wrote the book The Fifth Discipline. And learning and growth is intended to focus on organizational learning and organizational growth. It's not just people. Organizations learn, of course, through what individuals do, but also through the impact of culture and enabling structures. In the first book, we described the concept of the four perspectives, like you see on the screen, 4 points of a compass. But we began to learn there was a cause and effect relationship between these perspectives. So, overall, most private sector organizations' goal is to achieve financial success. That's our top goal. Now, to achieve financial success, we have to understand what our customers want and meet those needs. To do that, we better have the right processes, and to have the right processes, we better have the right learning and growth or enablers. As a strategy map, as opposed to four compasses, we begin to try to describe the cause and effect relationship between these elements. A simple example would be Tim Hortons. Why would we spend, $1 for a cup of coffee that we could get at home or the office for free? Well, we would do that financial transactions if it met what we needed as a customer. What those needs are obviously a great tasting cup of coffee, but perhaps also the right location, maybe the right atmosphere inside the store. Perhaps, like me, you believe in the things they support, like the Timbits hockey and soccer and the kids' summer camps and so forth. So the customer value equation is quite complex. It's more than a cup of coffee, which means the internal processes for Tim Hortons to be successful are more than just making a great cup of coffee. The internal processes are about also choosing the right store location, the right store layout, the right food to offer, even the right charities to support, and perhaps in Tim Hortons' case, even internal processes around managing those charities. Because of course, if something bad happened at one of the kids' camps, it would tarnish the Tim Hortons brand. So the internal processes are reflective of what the customer value equation is. Obviously, therefore, the enablers, the competencies and culture and enabling structures we need are those required to build and maintain our processes, which are required to build and maintain our customer satisfaction, which are required, of course, to achieve some financial success. So in theory, any strategy can be designed as a cause and effect diagram across these four perspectives. To learn more about these concepts, listen to the rest of the webinar as it describes strategic objectives, relationships, and so forth.